David, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me here.
We know that Brazil, in its presidency of the G20, launched the first ever G20 social summit to focus on issues of poverty, hunger. Tell us a little bit more about how UNHCR fit into that picture, what you got out of it, and what we can expect.
Yes, UNHCR was here actually facilitating the presence of a number of refugees, migrants forcibly displaced that attended the social summit. The summit was really the first and was really a great opportunity to hear civil society at large, all the organized group and movements in Brazil, but also of a country of the G20, and present their voices. So refugees, migrants participated throughout this process, and we had a great result. The priority of the Brazilian presidency were three: climate change, fight against poverty and hunger, and the reform of the multilateral system. And these three priorities are really very much linked to the global challenge of forced displacement. As you know, there are over 130 million people that are forcibly displaced around the world right now. To this, you add the millions of people that are displaced because of the impact of climate change and disaster. Here in Brazil, we saw this year what that impact is in Rio Grande do Sul. There were the flooding, devastating flooding in the south that have not only displaced thousands and thousands of Brazilians, they have affected over 2 million people in Rio Grande do Sul, but they also impacted the life of over 40,000 refugees and migrants that were living in the States.
Refugee support is needed in many different ways. So how can the G20 as a whole create a framework for addressing the needs of refugees and asylum seekers, not just in Brazil, but in other countries around the world?
What is very much needed is leadership to solve the defined challenges of our era, solve prolonged conflicts, address the impact of climate change. So I believe that the first opportunity that country of the G20 have is really to come together and try to address the crisis around the world. I believe also that having the voices of refugees in this declaration put their priority at the forefront in a way, so that countries that are receiving a large number of refugees try to implement policies that are inclusive, that help refugees to integrate, introduce in the new society, that facilitates also what refugees can bring to their new home. Brazil is developing the first national policy on this matter. So this is a great example that Brazil can bring to the G20.
How challenging is the financing issue when it comes to getting the support to deal with migrants and refugees?
Unfortunately, this increasing conflict, increasing situation of humanitarian emergency has created needs that the international community is not meeting. Financing is growing over the past few years, but the needs of people that are displaced have grown even more. The new paradigm is really to have investment going into areas that are affected by the arrival of refugees, and create the opportunity to make this to turn this influx into something positive.
You saw a big surge not too long ago in an area that you're very familiar with in the north, Pacaraimo, after Venezuela's election. I know that area has been overwhelmed already, and then this more recent surge. How is the situation there?
Yeah, we continue to see an influx of 300-400 people per day from Venezuela. We expect this influx to continue in the future. We are working very closely with the authority and other UN agency and civil society partner to prepare in case of an increase in the influx. But for now, we expect that this sustained number that will continue in the foreseeable future. The operation Welcome is there, is working well. We are discussing with the government how to adapt the operation to the long term so that it meets the needs of the people that will eventually arrive in the future, but also it becomes more efficient and effective also for the government.
Davide Torzilli, always great to see you. Thank you for joining us.
Great to see you, and thanks a lot. Thank you for having me.